I'm hard-tuned on Bring a Trailer, and let's take a look at my friend Chris's 1969 Alfa Romeo 1750 Spider Veloce. As you can see from the photos in the auction and here, this is a genuinely good-looking Spider with no outward signs of body rot or rust. It's not a rotisserie restoration or a Concours level car, but rather a solid driver that, like any 50-year-old car that's been on the road, it's acquired some personality and patina. We'll look at the paint and the body, underneath and inside, and relate what we know and what we can see. Let's start with a little history. It all started here. The car was built on January 13, 1970 as a 1969 US market Spider. Marco Fazio at Alfa Romeo's Documentation Center also tells us that the body color was blue with an amaranth sky interior, which actually should look like this, an oxblood or deep burgundy color. Obviously this was changed to black at some point. We'll get back to the ownership trail later. Let's take a closer look at the paint and body. At some point, the car was resprayed black, and it was brought back to its original blue color in 2014. If you look extremely closely, there's an ever so slight, it's a dog hair, it's ever so slight wave right about there in the nose of the car. It's pretty slight. There's a couple of chips here and here on the leading edge. Bottom of the grill heart shows a little bit of wear if you go way under here. So, squirrels will be aware that there's a bit of a knock out of the bottom of the grill heart. And moving around, there's another chip here. Pretty small. There's a touched up chip in the trunk, about that big. The fuel door fits nicely. The antenna is not present. The ball is there, but the antenna itself has left the building at some point, which is fine because actually you'll note there's no radio. From the front, the bumper alignment is pretty good. There's a chip out of this left front turn signal right there. And the bumper brow on this side is a little droopy. That could probably be addressed. Right rear bumper is good. Coming around to this side, this one turns up a little bit, but it's not too bad. And that could be adjusted. We've done a little bit of adjustment on it to bring it down. It just needs a little bit more to get this blade down a little bit. Door handle chrome is excellent. The mirror shows a little pitting. Windshield is good. Minor pitting from age. The actual chrome itself is decent. And on the driver's side, there's a slight crack at the top edge. Otherwise, it's pretty decent. There are no window locks for the wind wings on this car. The top. The top was new sometime 2 owners ago between 1994 and 2013, probably closer to 2013. The rear glue on the glue for the window to the fabric has failed in one spot here. It's been a little bit re-glued over here. It just needs to be warmer to re-glue it, but that could be glued back into place. In the trunk, the rubber mat and panels are present. The trunk should be body color, but here it's finished in crinkle black. The spare tire carrier, which is a common rust point in 105 series Alphas, is totally solid. There's a slight chip on top of the driver's side window, and a slight crack in the door panel at the top. Looking inside, the dash has a plastic cap on it, so there are no cracks showing. And the other non-standard deal is the fact that the dash itself is painted black, whereas it should be painted blue. The color was changed to black by a previous owner a long time ago, and it was changed back in 2014 to its original blue color. The dash was left black at that time. Seats and door panels are in good shape, and the stock latch-type seatbelts are present. The carpeting is presentable, barring some wrinkles in the transmission tunnel. Diving into the back, always easy. The light is super harsh here. The rear drape is kind of in decent shape. It's not perfect, and it needs to be reattached. It's actually drooping down right there. This is sort of what would be the back seat area. It's a common rest zone. This car actually was attended to. From below, there's evidence of a patch, probably done when it was painted black. The gauges are in working order with the following disclaimers. The trip odometer is not working. The speedometer slows after 65 miles an hour and doesn't actually keep up with increased speed after that point. And I describe the gauge lighting as a little on the dim side. The chrome surrounds on the fuel, oil pressure, and water temp gauges show some pitting. Also works. This 1750cc engine was rebuilt by the previous owner, who goes by Watry on Bring a Trailer. He found the car in 2014 in San Juan Capistrano. It belonged to Norm Smith, whose son-in-law owned it for 20 years before him. The son-in-law drove it for 5 years, and then stopped driving it, and it sat for 15. Norm got it, and drove it for a couple of years, and decided to sell when it overheated and started smoking with coolant in the number 4 cylinder. The head was stuck on the original block, so a date-appropriate numbered block was sourced for the rebuild. It's one of the smoothest and torquiest 1750s I've experienced, and it's only covered about 2,000 miles since the rebuild. Watry still has the original engine block and head, and it will be available to the winner of the auction should they wish to have it. These are 14-inch steel wheels with 185/70/14 Falcon tires and stock hubcaps. The caps are in good shape. The right rear has a couple of small dings. Moving on to the underside, the entire exhaust system looks recent and is in good shape. This may look terrifying, but the rust you see here is on a removable shroud that covers the slave cylinder. Anytime there's a leak, the paint suffers and they rust. They're oftentimes hammered, but this is not a structural issue. Going to take advantage of the fact there's a wheel off here to take a quick look at a couple of areas in the fender well. It's got Spica shocks. This box area, these Alfa Romeos are known for cracking around the edges of the box where the upper suspension mount is located. This car shows no evidence of cracking, which is great. These sway bar mounts are very clean and tidy. This area is prone to rust and failure with the added loads of the sway bar, leading to variable front end handling. And that is the sway bar mount on the driver's side that's been welded up. Rocker panels and jack points are other common areas for tinworm and collapse. The floors and rockers here are solid, and while the jack points show some surface rust, structurally they look good. And here's some evidence of a patch that was done in the rear seat area, but it looks decent. Poking around in the right rear fender well, you'll notice some thin spacers that are run on the rear wheels. The only anomaly in the rear wheel wells is a small wrinkle in the left one that may be the remnant of a rear bump at some point in time, but there's no evidence of wrinkling or stress in the trunk floor or around the fuel tank. Starting a list of future upgrades, the sway bar link bushings show some wear. The reaction trunnion or triangle brace bushing definitely is showing some age. And maybe at the top of that list would be a drive shaft flex disc or guibo, as this one is just starting to crack. Most of the documentation that comes with the car is in the form of receipts, primarily from the recommissioning in 2014, with engine parts and body and paintwork making up the bulk of it. The clutch and brakes work as they should. Brake pads are at about 50% on material wear, and the gearbox has a typical second gear synchro wear that's a little bit grumpy when it's cold and improves vastly with a few minutes of temperature. I think we've hit most of the main points on this car. Check out the driving video, check out the photos in the auction, and good luck with bidding.